The Deep Howl is an oceanic horror game, combining the unique aspects of the game's Iron Lung, Pressure, and the analog horror series Vita Canis into one distinctive game. The game requires us to traverse through the treacherous seafloor 2,500 meters below sea level in an ominous hole, filled with monsters and tangible mystique, all in hopes of finding data to uncover the hole's secrets. We play as the sole volunteer who chose to explore the hole's depths, where we encounter horrific and horrifying creatures that roam the whole seafloor. We are alone, without anyone to guide us. The Deep Howl has an extremely in-depth lore and unique storyline, which tells the tale of a fictional world with a sinister and foreboding hole. In this video, I will be discussing the story of the Deep Howl, explaining the timeline from the day the hole appeared to where the current story takes place. I will also be sharing some of my personal theories about the hole to make the story clearer. Anyways, this will be a long journey, so I hope you enjoy the video. Sit back, relax, and get ready as we uncover the story of the Deep Howl. August 8th, 1992, 9:14 AM. There is a god underneath the island. We've been watching it for a while now. We don't know how far its body stretches into the earth, but the higher-ups think it has rooted itself deep below the tectonic plates. It's completely beyond the scope of human engineering. Whatever it is, it's creating organic life through its roots. It's mimicking the things it sees, like some sort of organic factory. It started crowding the cave with eyes to watch us. We tested the eyes, and they were entirely human DNA. It's trying to imitate our biology. It adapted our sonar into a weapon and began mounting them onto these strange insects. We killed most of them, but one got away by digging into the ground. I don't know what we're doing here. Everything about this island freaks me out. If this job didn't pay so well, I would have quit months ago. March 26, 1996, 6:25 AM. The island is sinking. We're trying to evacuate, but we don't have enough ships to move everyone. This might be the end. A hole appeared underneath an island 600 kilometers off the coast of the Philippines on August 8, 1992, recorded by the residents of the island. In a cavern on the island, the residents made a shocking discovery. Growths of flesh were found in the center of the room, with the flesh resembling the animals outside of the cavern, maybe a dog, sheep, or cow, with lifeless eyes, stuck in an unconscious state. When the residents ran tests on the mysterious flesh, they discovered that the material matched directly with human DNA. After a while, the flesh began to spread itself across the room, growing on the walls and ceilings. Soon, the flesh, out of nowhere, began to grow eyeballs, watching the island's researchers intently. After testing the eyeballs, the researchers discovered that they matched perfectly with human DNA. The flesh is somehow developing and giving life to organic creatures, like the eyeballs and insects that came from it. The researchers discovered that the flesh expanded deep underground, where it rooted itself deep under the tectonic plates. The hole's plan is to learn and imitate human biology, likely to enhance its knowledge and ability to create more realistic and intelligent beings. After 4 more years of research, on March 26, 1996, the hole would suddenly begin to swiftly consume the island. There were not enough boats for everyone to evacuate it, and roughly 104 people ended up sinking into the hole along with the island. The residents of the island that got consumed by the hole didn't die instantly, though. The hole was initially devoid of any water, allowing the residents to survive early on. A problematic thing, however, was the creatures roaming around the hole created by the fungus. A few of the documents on the computer give insight into what the residents did to survive in the hole. For instance, the document titled Weather Station explains how the hole slowly began to fill up with water after it consumed the island. It says that many residents sought high ground to avoid interacting with the rising water, such as seeking shelter on the higher floors of the weather building. This is why the weather building has sleeping mats and cans of food. These are signs that people were living in the building, using the weather station as shelter. The windows and doors were also boarded up by the residents, likely with the intent to avoid interacting with the dangerous entities roaming around the hole. The residents didn't only cower and hide, though. They tried to fight back against the creatures, even though not directly. In the document titled Lighthouse, they state how the lighthouse was used for a coordinated defense effort against the creatures in the hole. There were defense plans etched into the walls, detailing the modifications done to the mines. Landmines were consolidated in the lighthouse, with most landmines being anti-tank mines in perfect condition. The residents began placing these mines around the sea floor, which is why the lighthouse is surrounded by so many mines. Moreover, since the residents didn't bother to cover the mines up with any sand, they were likely using them as a deterrent for entities roaming around the hole, not for warfare or human combat. This is why we encounter landmines when traversing the ocean. They were placed there by the residents of the island as a final coordinated attack to protect themselves from the hole's monstrous creatures. A month after the disappearance of the island, a strange howl was heard 600 kilometers off the coast of the Philippines on April 7, 1996. This howl was heard in almost every coastal region around the world, managing to circle the globe 2 times. In comparison, the 1883 Krakatoa volcanic eruption, one of the loudest recorded sounds in history, produced a noise that exceeded over 300 decibels, managing to circle the globe roughly 3 times. Here is the audio recording of the howl. Here is a recreated audio of the 1883 Krakatoa volcanic eruption. The howl, even though not as loud, still managed to circle the globe 2 times, meaning that the noise had to be over 250 decibels. This intense sound was high enough to kill the surrounding marine life 300 kilometers near the epicenter of the sound. An expedition would take place in 1997 to discover the origin of the howl, leading to the discovery of a big sinkhole in the ocean ranging 5 kilometers in diameter. This hole is the same one previously getting researched on by the island's researchers in 1992. After the initial howl, the howl would return in 6-month intervals, emitting the same obscenely loud howling noise. I theorize that the hole is extremely intelligent, which is seen in many of its actions. For instance, the hole grew eyes out of its flesh, not instinctively, but as a purposeful act to spy and learn more from humans. One of the hole's most remarkable acts, though, is how it left the island alone for 4 years before consuming it. This is likely because the hole was using the island as a tool to adapt and learn. In the video created by the creator of the game called How to Fake a Sea Monster, the seas decipher decodes into the phrase, "We can see him in those eyes he grew for us. He wants to see us, his children." The hole seeing the residents on the island as its children might insinuate the idea that the hole didn't view the residents as being a rival or a problem. Rather, it viewed them as valuable helpers who can help it achieve its goals, just like how parents would view their own children as being a huge part of their life. The hole was using the island to gain a deeper comprehensive understanding about human biology, consuming the island after it extracted as much data as it could, where it then viewed the island as being more of a roadblock than something that can further aid in its plans any longer. The hole likely wanted to incorporate human biology into the creatures it would later create. This explains how the hole went from creating an unconscious, lifeless creature into something fully functional, like an insect, or even the creatures we see roaming the hole. The hole is a deep sinkhole that extends 2,500 meters below sea level.
It is home to many creatures that do not resemble anything normally found on Earth. The biggest entity in the hole, contradicting the belief that the Wanderer is the biggest entity, is likely an Amoeba, or more specifically, a type of Amoeba called a slime mold that lives under the sea floor. This Amoeba is the sole reason for the creation of all these meat-like entities roaming the hole, and is the same thing the island's researchers were trying to uncover. The Amoeba is intelligent, able to think with purpose, performing actions to help it achieve its goal. The Amoeba consists of many meat-like roots that have the ability to create organic life at will. This is seen in the document titled It's God, where the Amoeba would create eyeballs and insects from its flesh to learn more about human biology, replicating the knowledge it gained into its own creations. The Amoeba that resides beneath the hole is also creepily similar to real-life Amoeba. In the document titled Living Island, they state how, when the organic meat protruding from the sea floor in the hole gets damaged, additional formations emerge from beneath the silt, causing noticeable seismic activity around the area. This organic meat is likely from the Amoeba, which is potentially living under the sea floor in the hole. Comparing the reactions from the Amoeba in the hole share similar reactions to regular Amoeba in the real world. When a part of a normal Amoeba is cut off, it creates electrical impulses that travel to the damaged part of the body. Now, imagine that the Amoeba was 20 times, even 30 times as big. The Amoeba would obviously create a bigger reaction. Also, real-world Amoeba seal off any wounded areas to prevent further infection. The Amoeba in the hole does something extremely similar, creating additional meat formations that act as deterrents or blockades to stop further damage. It is obvious that the hole houses an intelligent, ever-growing Amoeba. It is even mentioned in the same document, where they suggest that something big could reside under the submerged island. The Amoeba used everything it learned from the island, creating entities that roam the whole sea floor. In one of the thesis ciphers from the video uploaded by the creator of the game titled How to Fake a Sea Monster, it says how the hole can create things ceaselessly. This could explain the mass number of entities roaming the hole. These entities are somehow being created by the Amoeba, like some sort of breed. This is strengthened by previous knowledge, where we know that the Amoeba can create organic life through its flesh. The document titled Eyeballs points out how weird it is for the eyeball creatures to explode. Why would a creature voluntarily suicide if there was nothing to protect? The Amoeba might be altering certain creatures' genetic code to help protect itself from any threats, maybe to stop humans from collecting data to discover what it is hiding. This could mean that the hole doesn't just house some random Amoeba, rather, it houses an Amoeba that acts as a hive mind that breeds and controls the entities it creates, almost like a cultural medium. I mean, looking at all the entities closely, each of them has unique purposes. The eye is the attacker, exploding any threats it sees. It acts as the main line of defense to eliminate any threats. By random objects, like cars, are stuck in the walls of different buildings. The mole might play a defensive role, creating high-pressure zones to trap potential threats. The Strider has no intelligence, playing a supportive and offensive role by wandering around the map with a sonar to detect and hurt anything near it, maybe to inform the rest of the creatures where an enemy is. The Shadow's role is to disorientate threats, whispering in a tone reminiscent of someone's loved ones. The Time Monster acts similar, trying to spook any threats into leaving. These creatures all form together to create a well-organized group, which is likely the doing of the hole. The Amoeba wants to escape the hole it is in by growing its roots all the way out of the hole, using the entities it creates as ways to protect itself, where it can then spread its creatures near coastal waters, causing chaos and pandemonium. Decoding one of the thesis ciphers in the same video titled How to Train a Sea Monster gets us the phrase, "If you're reading this, we failed. Whatever is under that island is not natural. It is not from this world. It can create things ceaselessly, things that should not exist. We cannot let it escape." This message is likely sent by the residents of the island who ended up getting consumed by the Amoeba, where they are still somehow alive at the depths of the hole. Whoever wrote this clearly has done research on the hole before. They know that it isn't something created by any natural means. The only people who could have known all this information prematurely had to be the researchers on the island, as all research samples and tests only found on the island got destroyed by saltwater after the island got consumed. The islanders know the motive of the Amoeba in the hole, that it wants to escape its confinement. This makes sense, as the Amoeba has nowhere to go but up, where more natural resources that it can consume are found. Currently, not much is known about how much progress the Amoeba has made towards its goal, but when it does escape, a lot of problems can arise. It can begin creating monstrous entities near land, and with all the knowledge it gained from the day it appeared to when it escaped, the monsters it creates will be more oppressive and problematic. The hole cannot escape, it must stay in the ocean. If it escapes, the ocean, no, the entire world, is doomed. The hole will have complete dominion over the sea, turning humans, beings on top of the food chain, into nothing but weak, hapless people that are under control of the hole's monstrous creatures.
I don't know what I am, but I taste really good.
There are a few big reasons why the Amoeba isn't just sending its creatures out of the hole. It's because the ocean pressure in the hole fluctuates drastically, creating high-pressure areas that crush any organic life, while also creating low-pressure areas. The document titled Strange Pressure Readings says how, at a depth of roughly 1,300 meters into the hole, rather than the ocean pressure continuing to increase during the descent down the hole, the ocean pressure starts to drop. The recorded ocean pressure at the bottom of the hole is equivalent to the pressure found at the bottom of a 6-foot swimming pool. Since the ocean pressure in the hole only starts to decrease after the 1,300 meter mark, ocean pressure will continue to increase normally beforehand, meaning the ocean pressure at the 1,300 meter mark is the greatest. The ocean pressure 1,300 meters below sea level is roughly 131 atmospheres, which is 131 times greater than the pressure found on the surface. This pressure is so high that, if a human were to experience this type of pressure unprotected, meaning no diving suit or submarine, all their organs would instantly compress. The person's chest would instantly cave in, shattering ribs and surrounding tissue. Keep in mind that human biology is the basis in all the Amoeba's creations. It's what the Amoeba is trying to replicate. This means that the entities created by the Amoeba will likely suffer the same catastrophic effects as a regular human, as both have similar, if not the same, cell structures and biology. With this knowledge, no creatures created by the Amoeba will be able to make it past the depth of 1,300 meters, as that's the depth with the greatest ocean pressure. Since the flesh from the intelligent Amoeba matches directly with human DNA, this means that the Amoeba can't make it out of the hole too, due to how similar its biology is to humans. However, this doesn't make sense, as the Amoeba was already seen outside of the hole, or more precisely, in a cavern on the once lively island. This is clear evidence that shows the Amoeba already escaping the hole, which might insinuate the idea that the Amoeba isn't like the other creatures it created. The Amoeba might have certain biological factors that allow it to withstand the high pressure zones. This is a feasible idea, since the Amoeba wasn't created by another creature. It's the start of the foreboding biological tree, creating entities it uses to protect itself. So, why doesn't the Amoeba just escape already? Well, I theorize that there are two potential reasons why the Amoeba is staying quiet. The first potential reason why the Amoeba isn't escaping could be due to the sheer distance the Amoeba needs to travel up to escape. To escape the hole, the Amoeba needs to travel 2,500 meters up. That's an extremely long distance for the Amoeba to travel. It's not clear how much ground the Amoeba can travel at, which means that the Amoeba could either be extremely close to escaping or still very far away. The second reason why the Amoeba isn't escaping could be because it's gradually evolving and getting stronger, learning how to create more oppressive entities before making its way out of the hole. If the Amoeba were to just escape the hole without enough preparation, it would be way harder for it to carry out its plan of developing dominion over the sea, especially with the military technology the Amoeba must face. It's weird how no ships were found throughout the whole expedition into the hole. At the beginning of the game, they mentioned how over 1,500 ships mysteriously vanished after the appearance of the hull. Let's be generous and say that about half of the ships vanished because of natural reasons, like harsh weather, equipment malfunctions, etc. However, this still doesn't explain why we don't encounter a single ship in the hull, except for the decrepit submersible. How is the hull getting rid of all these ships in the first place? The hull itself cannot move, it can only expand and travel using the Amoeba. So why is there a sudden abnormal amount of ship disappearances? Either the hull is hiding something from us that we don't know about yet, or it's already started with something malicious. It's extremely unlikely that the Amoeba already escaped, given the fact that, at the start of the game, the ship that drops us in the ocean is directly on top of the hull. Any workers or researchers would have clearly seen the flesh climbing out of the hull, especially if it's on the sea floor. I theorize that the hull has already released certain entities that are genetically engineered to be immune to the high pressure areas in the hull, which can explain the disappearance of an obscene number of ships. The entities sent outside the hull could be smaller and more pressure resistant than the entities found inside the hull itself. This would make sense, given the fact that if the Amoeba can actually genetically engineer the creatures it breeds, what's stopping it from creating creatures that can do its dirty work by escaping the hull first, in order to carry out the Amoeba's goals? Like what was said before, the Amoeba wants to take control of the ocean and land, so any ships that enter the hull's vicinity are deemed a threat, as the ships are technically entering the Amoeba's territory. There is a virus in the hull, a virus that we caught after escaping, and the residents who got consumed by the hull, they caught it too. The Amoeba released some sort of virus that, if caught, causes catastrophic side effects to the human body. From the different endings to decoding a secret Caesar cipher, there is clear evidence of a deadly virus in the hull, waiting to be released. The Caesar cipher in the video called How to Train a Sea Monster, uploaded by the creator of the game, decodes into the phrase, "Most of the island's researchers are still alive, but we're certainly not human anymore." This place is what some would call hell. The survivors caught a disease that caused irreversible damage to their bodies and mental state. The virus had to have been extreme for the survivors to come to the conclusion that they aren't human anymore. Since the survivors on the island have been in the hull for an extremely long time, this means that there is some sort of virus that is caught if someone stays in the hull for a prolonged period of time, and the extremity of said virus depends on the total amount of time someone is in the hull. Looking at the different endings of the game can give us more insight into the virus. Ending 1, the ending which only requires us to escape with 0 to 1500 data, causes our character no noticeable side effects. Ending 2, the ending which requires us to take between 5,000 to 7,500 data, causes our character to feel uneasy whenever they're near water. The third ending, which requires us to take between 7,500 to 10,000 data, shows how our character developed a condition that causes repulsive swelling in the stomach if they ever look at the ocean, which is a drastic change to the body compared to the previous ending. Rather than having to interact with water to feel nauseous, they just have to look at the ocean to feel the same amplified effect. The final ending, the ending which takes the longest time and requires the collection of over 10,000 data, says how there is something crawling under our character's skin. This is serious, and it's evident how the effects of the hull went from mental effects to physical effects. The endings have a pattern, with our character exhibiting side effects of the virus that get worse if we manage to collect more data. More data requires us to stay in the hull longer, which shows the correlation between the virus and the hull, and how longer time spent in the hull coincides with more extreme side effects. Deciphering the first document with the Caesar cipher, we get a document titled Earthen Wolves. I can hear them, something calling me from the ocean. There's movement inside my body. I can feel it shifting beneath my skin. I lost my ability to walk yesterday. My legs have gone numb. My nails, I can feel it. It's here, it's here, it's here. The earthen wolves beckon me to join them in the woods, waiting for my decay. My blood keeps growing, new vessels spread through my body, and fresh growths burst from beneath my skin. The light burns holes through my eyes. I don't think I need them anymore. Voices pierce through my skull with the grinding sound of gas hissing through my eardrums. Girls, yes, girls. He's calling for me. The island is calling my name. Can't you hear it? This text shows the extreme side effects of the host virus. This is likely written either by our character or another survivor of a separate expeditionary crew that we don't know about yet. The side effects seem to show the virus attempting to turn the victim into some sort of helper. It gives the victim gills, likely with the intent to allow them to be able to breathe underwater. The virus also causes the victim to hear manipulative calling beckoning them to come back down to the hold. Another side effect that stands out to me is how the eyes get impacted, and how the victim says that they don't need them anymore. This might be the virus trying to get the victim to adapt to the darkness in the hole, as regular eyes won't be able to adapt to the lack of sunlight in the hole's depths. Moreover, since the infection causes the development of meat-like veins throughout the victim's body, similar to the meat roots of the hole's Amoeba, this might literally mean that the Amoeba is entering the victim's body via the virus, causing all of these gruesome changes. If the Amoeba just wanted to kill the victim, why would it create a virus that causes all these changes in the human body, which are specifically targeted towards allowing the victim to adapt to the ocean? I feel like the virus was created by the Amoeba in the hole, and it's purposely turning humans who catch it into helpers to aid in its goal of ruling over the ocean. It's almost like it's turning the victim into a fish, a very unnatural one.
Thank you. I make it a fish.
Our character is depressed and, in the time when the game takes place, is going through a very unfortunate situation. At the beginning of the game, we can see our character holding up a photo of their mother, staring at the calm ocean before their expedition into the hole. What our character says can help us picture their story better. Looking at the sad demeanor of our character and the depressing phrases said makes me theorize that our character's mother is dead. When our character talks about the risks involved with the expedition into the hole, they say, "I might not come back," then follows it up with, "So don't worry, I'll see you soon." If our character's mother was alive, then why would they say, "I'll see you soon," right after talking about the risks involved with the expedition? This implies that the character's mother is dead, and how, if our character dies during the expedition, they can visit their mother in the afterlife. Even with knowledge of the potential risks, our character volunteered to join the expedition into the hole regardless, because they didn't care whether they would die or not. This guilt our character has is clearly shown in the phrase, "maybe it's for the best." Our character thinks that dying during the expedition would be the most befitting outcome for everything that has happened in their life so far, implying that our character misses their mother deeply, hoping the expedition will allow them both to reunite. Our character might have also joined the expedition, not to help humanity, but to die with dignity and purpose. It's not clear how our character's mother died, but our character might have been somewhere else when their mother was in trouble, hence why our character says, "I'm sorry I wasn't there." Our character might have been attending school, work, or other activities when their mother died, and feels guilty for not being there when it happened. This likely amplified our character's depression of their mother's death, especially since they couldn't be there to potentially help prevent it. So, there you have it. Now you know the lore and story of the Deep Howl. In case you forgot anything, here's a recap. A hole appeared underneath an island on August 8, 1992, housing an Amoeba that consists of many different meat-like roots and tendrils. The Amoeba soon began to spread its tendrils into a cavern on the island, leading to tangible confusion and worry among the island's inhabitants. Soon, the island's researchers started researching on the Amoeba, taking many different samples and tests. In the process of all of this, the Amoeba was slowly learning more about human biology, growing eyes to observe the island's researchers, and implementing the knowledge it gained into its own creations. The Amoeba, after gaining enough info, consumed the island, taking all the residents down with it. The island's residents consumed by the host survived initially though, by finding high ground to avoid the rising water, while also placing landmines to deter the Amoeba's creations.
The hole houses an intelligent, ever-growing Amoeba that wants to escape the hole it is being held captive in. The Amoeba wants to do this by spreading its roots to coastal waters and land to wreak havoc. During the time when the game takes place, the Amoeba has already released some of its creations out of the hole and is likely close to escaping itself. The high-pressure zone 1,300 meters into the hole is humanity's known and wary saving grace, the only thing stopping the Amoeba from sending its creatures out of the hole, but it can't keep on protecting humanity any longer. The Amoeba, which has certain biological factors that make it immune to the high-pressure zone, is slowly growing its roots out of the hole. The Amoeba is making the prudent decision to wait first. It is slowly evolving, perpetually growing and getting smarter, allowing it to create more intelligent and oppressive creatures to protect itself. When it escapes, humanity is doomed, and humans will become nothing but weak and hapless beings that have to suffer under the Amoeba's reign of terror. After our expedition into the hole, we caught a virus that slowly turned our body into a living anthropomorphic fish-human hybrid. We can't do anything to stop it, and as the days pass, we slowly and painfully begin to succumb to the deadly changes happening to our body. We were humanity's final hope. We were tasked with gathering information about the hole, but as seen in Ending 3, we withheld majority of the information found in the collected data, and now there's nothing stopping the Amoeba from escaping. We withheld information from the public because we didn't want to look strange. We withheld information from our superiors to cancel a second expedition. These actions reflect the true nature of our character. Without any parents or loved ones left to impress, there was no reason left to continue living. We were the only person with knowledge to potentially stop the Amoeba from escaping, but we put our personal reputation before others. Even though we volunteered to attempt an expedition, one no one else wanted to go, we looked too closely in the present, not the future, ignoring the potential ramifications of our actions. Even if we want to save humanity now, it's too late. We are slowly dying without anyone to hear us, withering away like a rose in the middle of winter, as the Amoeba slowly creeps up from the depths of the hole.